Hello guys! Today we are going to talk about another person that played an important role in the whole Chernobyl disaster story. Maybe not willingly, this time, but he did. We will talk about Anatoly Dyatlov. Not only about his part in the catastrophic event, but also who he was, how he even got to be there in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant during the disaster, and what happened to him afterwards. This Dyatlov miniseries will have more than just one episode, so sit comfortably, watch it until the end, and wait for the next ones to arrive. Chapter number 1. Introduction. The Chernobyl disaster of 1986 is considered to be one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. Besides the obvious crisis it created, it was also a catalyst for some reforms in the soon-to-fall Soviet Union. Politics, society, science, military, and many other aspects of it changed or were at least challenged and questioned. This disaster claimed countless lives. Some say maybe hundreds of thousands, and it impacted millions of people worldwide. At the center of this event were a lot of people, but there was also a man who not only played an important role, but also was made an example by the USSR officials. This man was Anatoly Dyatlov. We think he was a person that was incredibly interesting and somewhat unlucky, but some people may say that he was a tragic character in the whole Chernobyl disaster history. However, HBO pictured him as at least partially responsible for this catastrophic event. It is still unclear whether his management style and behavior really played a crucial role. I think it depends on who we ask and how we interpret the known, established and confirmed information. To understand Dyatlov and why his recent popular image is not true, and by that I mean how HBO pictured him, we have to look at his early life. What exactly do we know about young Dyatlov? We know for sure that he was born in 1931 in a small town of Atamanovo in Russia. The city is located in Siberia, but back then, instead of Russian Federation, it was a part of the Soviet Union. His parents were poor. They lived near the Yenisei River and the penal settlements of Krasnoyarsk. We don't know much about his youth, besides that he ran away from home at the age of 14, so we might guess that he didn't have a good life there. Being born in a such distant place in Siberia into a poor family during the times of Stalin's rise to power and inside USSR changes, including collectivization and the Great Purge that happened later, was probably a hard childhood for Dyatlov. So to conclude this short but necessary chapter, Dyatlov didn't have a great childhood. Instead, he ran from home, but still there are some insights, we may call them, that imply that he was really passionate about the science. So, we are starting another chapter. Chapter number 2. Education. As a child, as I just mentioned, he was complimented for his intelligence and passion for science, which would later play a crucial role in his whole education and career as a nuclear scientist. So we know that he ran from home and probably took some simple jobs. After that runaway, we know even less about him, but he appeared in the documents of a school in Norilsk, which is also in Siberia. He studied at the electrical engineering department of the Mining and Metallurgical Technical School, and later worked 3 years as an electrician before he was admitted to Moscow Engineering and Physics Institute, where he graduated in 1959 with honors. To give you some perspective, the MEPHI is still one of the most prestigious universities in Russia, and it specializes in physics, engineering and many other related fields. However, when Dyatlov was young, the name was different. Moscow Mechanical Institute of Munitions. It was founded in 1942 to provide the USSR with trained specialists for its defense industry. As you may guess from the date, it was founded during the Second World War because the USSR needed skilled personnel for both the army and the Soviet atomic bomb project, which was already considered in Stalin's plans. So, as you see, this university was not just any school. It was a place of great importance, and finishing it would mean getting a good job and a social position. Even now, after the changes in 2009, MEPHI creates a challenging and demanding environment, but prepares every student to handle even the most difficult, specialistic jobs. Dyatlov was a gifted man, and he excelled in his studies. He was particularly interested in physics and mathematics, so nobody should be surprised that he earned his place in the prestigious Moscow Engineering and Physics Institute. Reminding you what I said a few moments ago, Dyatlov finished this university with honors when he was 28 years old. Chapter number 3. The power plant. After graduating from the institute, Dyatlov quickly pursued his scientific career. In 1983, he moved to Pripyat, Soviet, now infamous Atomgrad, to work at the newly constructed Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant. By this time, 52-year-old Anatoly had already more than just a handful of experience. He worked for over 14 years on naval reactors in the Soviet Far East. That, including his education and other qualities, secured him a strong position in the new power plant in Ukraine. Some say he was one of the top, most experienced managers in Chernobyl. Despite what HBO served us, or at least what it suggested, he was not only responsible for reactor number 4, but he was also supervising the work of unit number 3. From what we have seen in the TV series, the real Dyatlov would be a surprise to us. There's a lot of mentions in the memories of the other power plant workers that, however he expected much of his subordinates, Anatoly himself worked 6 or 7 days a week, often taking not the easiest but long and exhausting shifts. Of course, he wasn't free of character flaws, as any other person. Especially being an expert in some field doesn't necessarily make a good boss. Many power plant workers complained about Dyatlov, either officially or, definitely more often, privately. They criticized his management style, calling it unforgiving, and sometimes recalled him acting overly confident in his own expertise. To be more blunt, he sometimes believed he was too good to make any mistake. Also, the cursing at his staff that HBO pictured was actually taken directly from the workers' memories. He supposedly offended those who didn't do exactly as he told them, or didn't do it quickly enough. On the other hand, as I told you before, other staff claimed that they held him in high regard due to his knowledge and other qualities that he possessed. As always, there are at least two sides to anything, so a lot depended on their relations with Dyatlov. Those he considered responsible and reliable usually said good things about him too, but those he considered lazy or not qualified enough, he usually criticized him. In the 1970s and 80s, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant was often called the most advanced and modern in the whole world. Well, at least by some, as we all know how the USSR liked to praise itself. As for Dyatlov, having in mind his knowledge and working greatly over time, he quickly got promoted. I think we may say that despite what we can see in Chernobyl by HBO, he was known for his hard work, his dedication to the job, and his deep understanding of nuclear physics. One of the power plant workers said that the show was scandalous due to how they pictured Dyatlov. As to his words, Anatoly may have been rude on some occasions. I mean, who hasn't been sometimes, right? But greatly professional and of expert knowledge. He was eventually appointed as the deputy chief engineer of the plant, a position of great importance and responsibility. It was this position Dyatlov held when the reactor number 4 tests were taken. And then, on one fatal spring night in 1986, the unforgivable catastrophe happened. I think that should mark the end of this episode of Dyatlov's story. We still have 5 more chapters to cover, and even the next one, about the disaster itself, could be made into a series of hour-long documentaries. I really hope that you've learned something new about one of the most important people involved in the Chernobyl disaster. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and watch other episodes of our Chernobyl Stories playlist. That's it for today, guys. Take care, stay safe, and see you next week.